Welcome to my YouTube, Robin James, music and reviews. Welcome to my YouTube, Robin James, music and reviews.
I specialize in a very specific type of security. Subconscious security.
You're talking about dreams?
It's called Inception. Already.
Welcome to Robin James Reviews. Before we get started with today's movie, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you click that little notification bell, you'll get alerted when I post my new content. That way you won't miss out on any of the new movie reviews I have coming this year. So the movie we're going to dive into today has brought up many theories and interpretations surrounding the events of the film. And I'd really like to give some of my views and thoughts on the movie as we learn more about Inception. Inception stars Leonardo DiCaprio as Cobb. He's a dream architect who extracts ideas from people's dreams for profit. But this time he wants to help his client implant an idea through what they call Inception, as they basically go deeper and deeper within a dream, implant an idea into their subject's subconscious.
What happens along the way and how that unravels, it's what the imagination is.
The movie was directed by one of my all-time favorite filmmakers, Christopher Nolan.
The idea that has always fascinated me about dreams is the realization that everything within that dream is created by your own mind.
And he was coming off of some amazing movies like The Dark Knight and The Prestige. And you can see the style of those movies really carry over here. And the movie plays out in a lot of non-traditional ways as far as the timeline goes, with a lot of flash forwards, foreshadowing, memories, and, well, dreams and more dreams, until the audience is confused and wonders, are the characters awake or are they still sleeping? I mean, really, maybe right now you're actually dreaming. And our dreams in this world are dreams within a dream. And maybe one day we will wake up and see everyone from this dream world and they will say, hey, did you have fun with the virtual dream game called life? I mean, are you having an existential crisis yet? Well, breaking down that film had that effect on me a bit. And I questioned their reality and tried to make sense of the events. But luckily, I think we are awake now, and I was able to get a better understanding of Inception. And I'm excited to share that with you here. So Inception was a huge hit with audiences in 2010, and considering it isn't the easiest movie to follow, I'd say it actually exceeded expectations as it earned $840 million at the box office, while earning 8 Oscar nominations and taking home 4. And people are still debating its meanings and the mysterious ending of it today. Nolan was both the director and writer, so he's really behind this movie, and it has his style and sense all over it. It's partially a heist movie in the vein of like a James Bond thriller, but it's also a science fiction mystery. And deeper underneath all of that, it's a tale of love and guilt, as our main character Cobb regrets his actions, which led to his wife Maul to commit suicide in the real world, thinking she was still dreaming.
The reason I knew Inception was possible was because I did it to her first. I did it to my own wife.
Why?
We were lost in here. I knew we needed to escape, but she wouldn't accept it.
I will do my best here to make the events in Inception clearer for you, and also take us behind the scenes and give you some of my opinions about this mind-bending masterpiece from Nolan. I'm going to summarize the plot and story, break down the amazing director and cast, talk about some of the technical aspects and the music of the film, analyze a few perceived flaws, and in the end, I'll finish up with my theories and overall thoughts. So we start with Cobb. As he wakes up on the beach, waves are crashing upon him. And we find out later that that's actually a flash forward, as this is the end of their mission, and Cobb is washed up in basically what they call limbo, as he'll attempt to recover his client, Mr. Saito, who's been lost there. And Cobb is played, of course, by Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's an Oscar winner who's just been on this super long run of making really solid movies. DiCaprio does a really great job here, displaying a lot of what what you can almost call inner turmoil and guilt. And you can really see it on him throughout the performance. As the character Cobb, he really was the best choice for the role, as he guides the audience through the movie and kind of explains the construct of the dreams and the concepts of Inception.
If you have a few moments, Mr. Cobb has a job offer he'd like to discuss with you.
Work placement?
Not exactly. I have a test for you.
You're not going to tell me anything about this first?
Before I describe the job, I have to know you can do it.
So let's talk a little bit more about the rest of the cast. And it's absolutely magnificent. Everyone is playing their role so perfectly, and they feel really cohesive and in sync. And in a lot of ways, the characters actually mirror a film crew. So Christopher Nolan, the director, would be basically considered as DiCaprio's character Cobb, and Elliot Page would be like a production designer, as she's the architect here who builds the worlds of the movie for the director. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character could be seen as the producer, as he deals with any problems that may occur and make sure that, everyone is where they need to be on the set.
We're not normal projections. They've been trained, for God's sake.
You're right.
How could he be trained?
Fishers had an extractor teach his subconscious to defend itself, so his subconscious is militarized. It should have shown in the research. I'm sorry.
So why the hell didn't it?
Calm down.
Don't tell me to calm down. This was your job, goddammit. This was your responsibility.
And Tom Hardy, of course, could be seen as the actor, as he can mimic others and take on their character. And he also knows a lot about human dynamics and relationships. Nolan did confirm that this theory is true, as he created Inception with that in mind, basically saying that it's like a team of creatives making a dream to fool the audience, just like they do in the cinema. For instance, the audience would be Cillian Murphy's character, and he plays Fisher. And the theory definitely holds up throughout the movie. This is a strong ensemble cast, and I feel like every character does get some time to shine. It's not just DiCaprio. I found Elliot Page and Joseph Gordon-Levitt were super likable in their role, and I wondered even, were they going to have a bit of a romantic connection themselves?
Give me a kiss.
They're still looking at us.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. We should probably get out of here.
They deliver a lot of the exposition, but it never feels forced. Instead, it does feel exciting and informative as it moves quickly. There's a lot of amazing cast members here, but I thought the standout was actually Marion Cotillard, and she plays Moll. She really gave such a wonderful performance as she plays DiCaprio's wife, who's like a projection in his dreams now. And she really made me feel uneasy, as there was just something so mysterious and interesting about her performance. Her character's presence can really be felt even when she's not on screen. And like she's definitely could doom our team's mission at any time.
So certain of your world, of what's real, do you think he is? Or do you think he's as lost as I was?
Nolan really, if you look at it, got like 7 actors who could lead their own movie and got them to all be in this ensemble cast. And I think it really elevates the movie to another level, that there's not just like these side characters. They all feel like main characters. And so speaking of levels, let me explain the dream worlds to you as clearly as I can. So next time you view the movie, you'll sort of know where you're at and not get as lost. So we're going to start with what we're going to call our base level, and that's reality. It can be seen like while they're at the office, working on the dreams and having their meetings, and also like when they're on the plane, hooking in to be sedated, and of course when they wake up on that plane. Those are definitely, they're in the real world. They're planning this thing they've yet to go under, and that's what we'll call base. And then you have level 1. And that will be called the Rain City. And that's the subconscious, actually, of the driver, Yusuf.
Sedation. For sleep, stable enough to create 3 layers of dreaming, we'll have to combine it with an extremely powerful sedative.
For example, of one thing Nolan does here, it's actually raining in the Rain City because the character of Yusuf had too much to drink before going under. And that's another just amazing tool that Nolan uses here, as he'll use real world dream applications that we can all relate to, such as, dreaming projections of people we know. Like, even if their faces don't match up, we can feel their essence. And, like dreaming about a river if you have to go to the bathroom, or sometimes we wake up when we kick a curb, or say, get killed in a dream, we wake up, really quickly. And all those are used here, and they're used brilliantly to ground this in the real world and make us understand more about how they're using Inception and the tools they use there. And one of the main tools they use is what they call a kick.
So once we've made the plant, how do we get out? And I'm hoping you have something more elegant in mind than shooting me in the head.
A kick.
What's a kick?
This, Ariadne, would be a kick.
It's that feeling of falling, you get the jolts, you wake it.
That's what's required to wake up from each level of the dream. And it's, like I said, similar to when you kicked a curb or someone threw a basketball at you when you were dreaming, that would startle you and wake you up. So each level they go down, though, their kick needs to be a bit more because they're more in the subconscious. So they need this kick to wake up from each level of the dream. And when they do wake up and they think they're back in reality, they have what's called the totem, another neat tool used by the writer Nolan in this. And that's their way to tell if they're in reality. It's an object that supposedly only they know about. Like the little intricacies of it. For instance, Leo has a top, and if it keeps spinning, then that would suggest he's still dreaming. And he actually sits there with a damn gun to his head. And if it does not top over, he's going to shoot himself to wake himself up, which also seems super scary, right? Like, what if it's just not working right and he actually is in reality, or it took too long or something? He had a really great spin.
Oh my goodness, would you look at this? What an enormous spin.
So there's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, man, this whole concept of what these guys are doing is really dangerous. And playing the dream world and reality can really fuck up your mind. Also, another way that Nolan makes this more grounded in reality is they describe that the military program actually came up with the program of Inception so that soldiers could go into dreams and basically battle and kill each other and practice and not have the consequences of the real world. Of course, that also seems like it could really fuck with you, but it does give an explanation for why this technology even exists. How are we even able to, architect dreams and maneuver around dream worlds like that? So again, Nolan really does like to base even the highest level of sci-fi stuff. He wants it to have some realism to it, and he does a really great job at that. So now let's move on to level 2, and we'll call that level the hotel. And this is the subconscious of Arthur. It mirrors kind of who you see Arthur being, is the standout sequence of the film. And it's when the halls are spinning and turning and the characters are fighting, running up the walls. Basically, gravity is switching and changing. And during the epic score, and which is made by Hans Zimmer, an all-time composer, but it is amazing. The last watching I did, I was probably as in tune and concentrated on that scene as much as any movie I've seen recently. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt actually did a lot of his own stunts, and you can see it. They don't have to CGI out his face and shit, and it works really good. So I'd say of all the amazing sequences in this film, which there are tons, that to me was my favorite. Again, the score by Zimmer really is a major part of this movie, and the theme is actually just an all-time classic. Like, people will listen to it on Spotify. That kind of, it just can be listened to anywhere. It doesn't need to be in the movie. And also one thing I noticed was that the score plays out at normal tempo, say in reality. And in level 1, it slows a bit. In level 2, it slows a bit. and in level 3. And level 3 is what we'll move on to now, and that's the Snow Fortress. And it's what I call the James Bond level. It does feel like sort of Nolan's epic Bond sequence, as he always has been a huge fan of that franchise, he stated. This level is the subconscious of Eames. I thought in this level, Tom Hardy really did shine. He has one of the funniest lines in the movie. Again, it does mix with the hotel level, with level 1. They're all playing out in unison throughout the movie, but he does take time to focus more on each level as they're going down. And it's just, again, this is brilliant stuff. This is all the tools of filmmaking just being used to just make this awe-inspiring thing. So I really, really love level 3. It's fun. Level 4 is what is called limbo, and that's basically like raw subconscious. It explained that it's harder to figure out if that's a dream or reality, like the deeper you got. So limbo, say you're under heavy sedation and you get killed in a dream, you can't wake up, so you might end up in limbo. Actually, Cobb's character has built sort of a world with his wife Maul here, but he's trying to keep her there in this, what you could almost call the basement level, so she won't infiltrate all these other dreams and kind of, ruin their missions. So let's just recap there. We've got base is reality. Level 1 is the Rain City. Level 2 is the hotel. Level 3 is the Snow Fortress. And level 4 is limbo. Those are our basically 5 levels that we play out in this movie.
I've not seen a movie this big, with so many story arcs and characters articulated so cleanly and with such depth, with the scale of action and the sequences that are involved, this big.
Christopher Nolan has always been amazing when it comes to the world building in his films. It takes a lot of great artists and filmmakers to achieve his vision. And honestly, the camera work, the lighting, the set design, and sound design, all of it is top tier, the best that money could buy. Quite honestly, I think that Nolan is the best filmmaker working today when it comes to being able to balance a big budget spectacle, but have a lot of deeper themes and meanings and still work for a really wide mainstream audience. The cinematographer here was Wally Pfizer, a regular collaborator of Nolan's, and his shots mixed with the wonderful music of Hans Zimmer and the editing of Lee Smith, which I think he's actually the standout here. The editing in this movie is amazing as they're able to blend multiple levels together using the music and the editing. It was an absolute treat to watch. And one other thing that I've got to say about this movie is that they really tried to do a lot practically, which means that they're not using computer generated images all the time, CGI. They're using more in-camera tricks, models, matte paintings, things of that nature, which I always love more. They said that there was only 500 visual effect shots made from CGI, which a movie this scale usually has well over 3,000, if not like a ton more than that. Even like a Marvel movie, let's say, would have maybe 10,000. But here he blends that CGI so well that it's really hard to tell what's what. Now, of course, when the city's folding over itself, which is just an amazing shot, of course, that's got to be some CGI, but it's done really well too. It looks realistic even. None of it looks like what is kind of the normal complaint about those kind of movies is this looks like a video game cutscene, is what people say. And none of this looks like a video game cutscene. This movie is gorgeous throughout, and all the filmmakers should be commended for their approach to use CGI only if necessary. Really, the films that tend to rely on heavy CGI, to me, age poorly. And after rewatching this, I can say it's aged exceptionally. When you start really thinking about all the levels that he's doing here with death and dreams and love and what's reality and what matters, it's really deep shit. But with that said, there are, I guess, what you could call some flaws. But are the flaws really even in the movie, or were they my expectations? And I think the expectations of a lot of people when this movie was first announced. Now, I went through a lot of the, background info and kind of the the IMDb stuff, the trivia and whatnot, and almost all of the plot holes that were submitted were explained to be not plot holes because of the dream world and because of how it's actually structured. It almost becomes sort of plot hole proof in that way. You could say, well, that was, by chance, or that was luck, or that timing didn't work, but they're dreaming. So a lot of that gets explained away there. Now, I will say the expectation I had that I thought was a flaw for a lot of years was the dreams weren't like super crazy. They weren't super colorful and sort of more like I expected, actually more CGI, more of a Nightmare on Elm Street type of dream too, where it's just all this weird shit. And that's not how these dreams play out. But the thing is, it is really explained because they architect these dreams. They make these dreams through memories and through, real life and stuff. And they aren't going to be as super crazy.
We bring the subject into that dream and they fill it with their subconscious.
How could I ever acquire enough detail to make them think that it's reality?
Well, dreams, they feel real while we're in them, right? It's only when we wake up that we realize something was actually strange.
But what does happen is when the dreams start to collapse, that's where I think they actually get that because, it's beautiful how the rooms just start collapse and shake and the dream is basically it's compromised and it no longer has the structure. And that was when I was like, okay, this shit is really hitting. Ultimately, there's not a ton of flaws here. I would like to hear from you guys down below. What are some flaws you saw in Inception? Because I am really curious. I generally do feel like a lot of the perceived flaws in this film end up feeling like nitpicks when I think about them, like the plot holes and the conveniences and stuff that you find in most movies. But this movie, it can be sort of explained away. Lastly, what about that ending? So the ending is ambiguous in a lot of ways. I think it really is up to the viewer to decide that. Because after my last rewatch, I will tell you what I think. I actually think Cobb's still dreaming. Now, I know that he spins the top and it's going and he sees his kids turn. And remember earlier, he said he didn't want to look at their faces in the dreams because he didn't want to get stuck in the dream and accept that. Well, here, the thing that really got me was when they get out of that last mission, they all wake up on the plane and they're all kind of looking at each other funny. It's definitely, at that point, you're thinking they're in reality. They're at base level. Another thing that really made me feel like he could be still dreaming was when he came home, his kids are playing the exact same way they'd been playing throughout the movie when he was dreaming. And I thought it to be very odd that they would be in that exact same position. And I think the only difference was this time he allowed himself to look at their faces and accept them. And as I said, he didn't really look back to the top. So it's like he's just accepting this to be his reality regardless. It doesn't matter if it's reality, it's now his reality. This is what he's going to perceive to be his reality. He just wants to be with his kids after everything that's happened, this whole mission, this whole journey, going to limbo, doing all these things. He's ready to just be with his kids. So I think he accepts his kids. It doesn't matter if it's a dream. Now, with that said, I do think it's purposely ambiguous, like a lot of science fiction movies are. They leave it to where it really doesn't matter which side you choose because you could be right on both sides. And it's up to you and your opinion and your perceptions to make that call, I believe. Similarly to like Total Recall. Is he awake or is he still dreaming? Is he on Mars? Well, I think in that movie, same thing. You could go either way. And it works both ways. And guess what, guys? That's what makes a brilliant fucking science fiction movie, is that both sides work in this. And I don't think there's a wrong answer. And I think it's just fine to say it's a pretty ambiguous ending that's really thought-provoking and had people talking for a long time. And also a great ending. It just ends. And I love that shit. I hate movies that have multiple endings and just draw out. It was like the top spinning, he walks off, and it ended. And then, man, it really gave me goosebumps. I love that shit. So I just want to say, I think this film's definitely worth revisiting if you've seen it. And if you haven't seen it, well, what the hell? How'd you make it all the way through this review? Go check it out right now. It's great. So in closing, I think that Christopher Nolan is one of the best filmmakers of all time. And he's assembled an all-star team of actors together here and filmmakers and musicians as they created Inception. I know no movie's perfect. You can find maybe a flaw here or there, but this movie is working at the highest level of filmmaking, using every single tool possible, from action, from tension, from mystery, from how the story unfolds, the amazing acting and directing, the fucking sick, awesome music and effects, everything. It's got a love story, it's got guilt, there's laughs. Inception brings it all. It's a 10 out of 10. So I hope you enjoyed my in-depth review here today and breakdown of Inception. I really did have a blast making it. Also a lot of brain cramps, I have to be honest. This one was very deep and took a lot of thought from me. And if you have any questions about the review or anything else to add to the conversation, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, what other films or lists would you like me to make or do reviews of? And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed today's video. It's the best way for you to show me your support. And I really did take about a month off. And in that time, I was making this review, sort of a little break as I get ready for the rest of the year. I've got Don't Worry, Darling coming soon. I've got Captain Ron. I'm going to do Weekend at Bernie's, Flight in the Navigator, along with some newer movies as well. Thanks for joining me here at Robin James Reviews as we learn more about Inception. And when it comes to your life and dreams, don't forget.
You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.